This is how to escape the rat race with Stoicism. Have you ever wondered why some things bring you joy or cause you to feel hopeless, like a puppet with chains pulled by unseen hands? Today, we'll look at how to avoid one of life's biggest traps and discover 7 Stoic ways to get out of the rat race. This voyage delves further into the system, the underlying fabric that subtly controls our emotions and behaviors, and the typical study of political or religious systems. Together, let's go on this fascinating adventure to learn how ancient Stoic wisdom can provide us with a much-needed reprieve from the maze of modern life. Today, we'll share 7 game-changing Stoic principles that have the power to completely change your life. Number 7. Developing a sense of comedy notwithstanding the situation. Regardless of the situation, how much time do we waste hoping for positive results and fearing the coming of negative ones? How many hours do we waste crying because our expectations for the future don't pan out? People try to sell us promises for the future by creating illusions of security, protection for ourselves and our loved ones, and assurances that they will shield us from unpleasant experiences. Humanity has become adept at dealing with fate and enduring the inevitable pain it brings. Our resistance to uncertainty has grown into a lucrative industry. We try to outwit fate by controlling our environment to fend off misfortune, but we are prisoners to our preferences and aversions and cannot lock every door in life's enormous mansion. Nor, even with a great deal of time, effort, money, and protective gear, can we patrol every street and alley in actuality. Since destiny always wins out, the only way to truly escape the system is to accept whatever comes to pass rather than incur heavy costs to obstinately oppose the unavoidable. Number 6. Diminishing fear of reputation. Stoics consider reputation to be a desirable but non-essential part of life. It's nice to have, but not necessary for happiness. Additionally, like any external factor, reputation eventually resides outside of our control. Some people spend their entire lives painstakingly building a flawless reputation only to witness it broken by a single mistake. On the other hand, some people live lives of wrongdoing and total disrespect for their social status. Then all of a sudden, garner reputation is as erratic as the wind, and the more we value our position, the more potential it has to bring fame and adoration. Furthermore, an excessive fixation with other people's judgments leaves us open to manipulation and exploitation, ultimately subjugating us to our surroundings. The more we rely on the naturally erratic opinions of others, Epicus argued that to achieve peace and freedom, we should be willing to accept consequences like shame, guilt, exclusion, or ridicule. These states are ultimately under our control, so they are immune to the opinions and judgments of others. Epicus also claimed that our desire for a good reputation should not harm our mental health if necessary. Number 5. Developing hardiness. Resilience. Often, when we find ourselves in difficult situations, our first instinct is to want to get out of them quickly. However, this isn't always possible, so instead, we commonly complain and feel hopeless, thinking we have a right to better circumstances. In actuality, we have no intrinsic right to anything, and often the wisest course of action is to bear with it. How often do we stray from our intended course, violate our moral convictions, or give up our ideals because we can't bear to suffer discomfort? Pain has a significant impact on people, causing them to act unethically or abstain from doing good deeds. Pain is still a tool of control, and in our attempts to avoid it, we unintentionally step into the trap set by those who want to control us. As a result, we become willing to give up our freedom in exchange for momentary pain and discomfort relief. If facing painful situations proves to be difficult, we can turn to Marcus Aurelius' wisdom. His meditations teach us that resilience can serve a purpose and offer something beneficial, even if the outcome may be death. Number 4. Releasing oneself from deep bonds with people. Attachments to people and strong ties with people can have significant and frequent negative effects. These connections may get us to a place where our fear of losing the person we are attached to takes control. Our lives force us to act desperately to prevent the coming separation. The Star Wars prequels and Padme and Anakin's love story both powerfully highlight the perils of unhealthy relationships and how they allow dark forces to control and enslave us. To achieve her malicious goals, Padme skillfully plays on Anakin's dread of losing her. If Anakin had approached love in another way, one that was built on freedom, trust, and detachment, rather than suffocating fear and possessiveness, the dark side would have been helpless against him. Epicus provides he offers harsh but effective counsel on attachment to things we cherish, implying that we should see them as genuinely doomed to break or perish. Used to keep in mind that our love is not limited to particular things. For instance, if we are in love with a ceramic cup, we should realize that it represents our admiration of ceramic cups in general, so that we won't be unduly upset if it breaks. Number 3. Releasing your material assets. The never-ending hunt for material stuff is the driving force behind society's relentless pursuit of material goods, where people put in interminable hours at professions they detest and put up with taxing routines. Happiness becomes contingent on several external factors, such as our social standing, income, friends, or luxurious homes, as long as we don't have these. We think we can't be happy, but we have to doubt the legitimacy of these pursuits because they primarily take place in a world where fate and luck play a role in our lives. Pursuing these pursuits is like fighting against forces we can never really defeat, as he said in a letter to Lucilius titled On True and False Riches. Seneca queries the worth of these tangible belongings. Golden Sofas, Seneca contends that nothing outside of ourselves, not even the most necessities like water and porridge, can truly make us happy. Does jewel-adorned furniture and the like truly bring us happiness, or are they just tools to project an illusion of the good life? This viewpoint makes us independent of outside events. Irrespective matter how insignificant they may seem. Additionally, Seneca claims that the one who is not greatly impacted by luck is the one who truly enjoys freedom. Echoes his master Aetiolo's remarks, which emphasize that thinking about these concepts allows us to be content with ourselves instead of looking to other people for approval, allowing us to be happy not just to appear happy, but to truly be happy. Number 2, empowering our responses. When faced with provocations, insults, or attempts to offend us, our natural reaction usually leans toward rage and hostility. By doing this, we give the system the ability to make us feel miserable by allowing other people's behavior to influence our behavior, which unintentionally links our happiness to other people's actions. People who display unpleasant characteristics such as being toxic, narcissistic, or psychotic can creep into our lives like persistent rain clouds, waiting to fill us with their hate and cause us to suffer. However, Viktor Frankl pointed out that there is a space between stimulus and response, and in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response, we find our growth and our freedom. If we react to these people with anger, fear, or hostility, we effectively give up the key to our emotional well-being. On the other hand, if we choose to be indifferent, we keep them from entering our hearts and minds, polluting only the space surrounding us. By choosing to be indifferent, we safeguard our freedom and inner tranquility. The lesson here is simple. We may not be aware that we can choose freedom, but we are only slaves if we so choose. Number 1, accepting mortality death. Some claim that, like the fear of pain, the primary source of all anxieties is the fear of death. Fear of death has the power to profoundly influence our way of life. Stoics argue that while we cannot control how long we live, we do have agency over the quality of our lives. Fear of death can cause us to live lives that are merely spent avoiding danger rather than living fully and making the most of each day. It can also make us anxious sheep who follow any shepherd who offers us one more day of light. Nevertheless, no shepherd can save us from the inevitable end of life, which is the dissolution of what we consider to be our bodies returning to nature. Fear of death can lead us to live a life that is both futile and worse than death. According to Marcus Aurelius, death is a natural occurrence much like growth, maturation, or the appearance of gray hair. Everything is created, dies, and goes through changes. And that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. I sincerely hope you found this video entertaining and enlightening, and if you've made it this far, please leave a comment to let me know you watched it. A thoughtful person should anticipate death not with indifference, impatience, or disdain, but by acknowledging it as one of life's inevitable events. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and may wisdom lead every one of you till the conclusion. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.